It happens on a Tuesday afternoon, on the seventh step. You are not running, you are not rushing, you are simply walking up the stairs of your own home, the way you have walked up these same stairs 10,000 times before, and suddenly your lungs simply stop cooperating. You grip the railing, the old wooden railing you painted yourself 22 years ago, and you stop, and you stand there and you breathe, not because you chose to stop, but because your body has made the choice for you, and you are no longer being consulted on these decisions. You count the remaining steps to the top 5 more, and they look in this moment like a very considerable distance. You think, when did 5 steps become a challenge? You think, when did my own house start to feel like something I have to negotiate with? There are photographs on the wall of this staircase. Your wedding, your children small and grinning, a summer somewhere with everybody laughing, and you have passed them 10,000 times without really seeing them. Today you see them, and you see yourself in them, and the distance between that man and this one, stopped on the 7th step, feels very wide. You make it to the top, eventually slowly, carefully, one hand always on the rail, and you sit on the edge of the bed, and you wait for your breath to come back to you. Not your daughter, not your doctor, not anyone, because saying it out loud would make it real, and you are not ready for it to be real yet. The stairs are not the only thing that have changed. You just notice them most because they are unavoidable. You have started taking the long way around the grocery store, avoiding the far aisle, because the far aisle requires more walking than you can manage comfortably now. You have started parking closer, always closer, and you tell yourself it is simply convenient, and not that the walk from the far end of the lot now leaves you winded. You have started sitting down in the shower, just for a rest. You told yourself the first time, and now the shower stool has become as ordinary as the soap. You have started watching what you agree to, carefully, turning down the walk with your neighbor, skipping the garden center your wife used to love, saying no to the things that would require your lungs to work harder than they seem willing to. Your world, you realize one evening while sitting in your chair, has been growing quietly smaller for quite some time, and you have been accommodating it so gradually that you almost did not notice. Each small surrender had felt so reasonable at the time, so sensible, so adult, so practical, that strung together they had become something else entirely. And the worst part, the part that truly frightens you when you let yourself think about it clearly, is that you cannot tell where this road ends. You think about your father, who spent his last years in 2 rooms, and you absolutely swore that you would not let that happen to you. The moment that breaks you is not on the stairs, it comes on a Sunday, in the backyard, in the middle of a simple game of catch. Your grandson, 8 years old, all energy and noise and absolute faith in you, asks you to chase him, the way you used to, the way grandfathers are supposed to, and you take 3 steps, only 3, before the tightness comes and you have to stop, and you stand in your own backyard with your hands on your knees, and your grandson stops running and turns around. He looks at you with those 8-year-old eyes, eyes that do not yet know how to hide their feelings, and what you see in them is not annoyance or impatience. What you see is worry, pure, unfiltered, childlike worry, and it goes through you like cold water. "Grandpa, are you okay?" he asks, and the smallness of his voice, the care in it, undoes something in you that had been very tightly held. You say, "I'm fine, bud," and you even manage a smile, but something has already changed inside you, quietly and permanently, in the space of those 3 short steps. That night, alone in your chair, you finally let yourself say the thing you have been circling for months. You said, "I am disappearing from my own life, and I am not going to let that happen." The next morning, you made an appointment, not with a specialist, not with a surgeon, not with anyone who might frighten you, but with your regular doctor, the one who has known you for 11 years and talks to you like a person. You told him everything, the stairs, the grocery store, the 3 steps in the backyard, and you watched his face, and what you saw there was not alarm. What you saw was recognition, the particular look of a doctor who has heard this exact story many times before and knows exactly where it leads if it is addressed early. He explained that what you were experiencing had a name, progressive deconditioning, and that it was not a verdict, it was a starting point. He told you that after 65, the cardiovascular system loses efficiency faster when it is not challenged, not because of age alone, but because of stillness, because of accommodation, because of all the small surrenders that seem reasonable in the moment. He told you that the body, even at 70, even at 75, retains a remarkable capacity for adaptation. It simply needs the right kind of gentle and consistent invitation. He gave you 3 things to begin, just 3. And he told you to do them every single day for 4 weeks before you judged anything. The first was breathing, deliberate, diaphragmatic breathing. 10 slow, deep breaths in the morning, before you stood up from bed, teaching your lungs to open fully rather than the shallow sipping they had defaulted to. The second was walking, just 10 minutes a day to start, no more, at a pace slow enough to hold a conversation, building the foundation before asking for anything more. The third was posture, sitting tall, shoulders back, chest open, because a collapsed chest cannot breathe deeply no matter how hard it tries, and decades of leaning forward had folded him in ways that needed to be gently unfolded. He said, "You are not broken. You are simply a man who has been very still for a while, and stillness, unlike age, is actually something we can work with." The first week was humbling. You will not pretend otherwise. 10 minutes of walking left you more tired than you expected, and the breathing exercises felt strange and deliberate in a way that made you feel like a beginner at something you should have always known. But you did it again the next day and the day after because you had made a decision in that backyard with your grandson's worried eyes on you, and you were not the kind of man who went back on decisions. There were mornings when the 10 minutes felt like 30, when the air was cold or your joints were stiff, or the motivation had simply not arrived yet. But you went anyway, because going anyway was the whole point. By the end of the second week, something small but undeniable had shifted. You made it up the stairs one afternoon without stopping, and you stood at the top and you said nothing to anyone. But you put your hand on your chest and you felt your heart working steadily and calmly, and you smiled. By the end of the third week, the 10-minute walks had become 15, not because anyone told you to increase them, but because your body had begun asking for more rather than less, and that was a feeling you had almost forgotten was possible. Your chest felt less like a cage and more like a room with windows that were finally slowly being opened. You called your daughter one evening, not because anything was wrong, but simply because you wanted to talk, and she said halfway through the call, "Dad, you sound different." "Different how?" you asked, and she said, "Like yourself." 4 weeks after that afternoon on the 7th step, you took your grandson to the park. He asked if you would chase him, and this time you said yes without hesitation, without calculation, without the quick, quiet inventory of your own limitations that had become such a habit. You ran, not fast, not far, not the way you ran at 40, but you ran across the grass with the sun on your face and the air moving in and out of lungs that were doing their job, and your grandson shrieking with laughter just ahead of you. Your grandson crashed into you, full speed, arms around your waist, and you caught him, and you held him, and you did not stumble, standing there with the weight of him in your arms and the grass under your feet, and the air moving easily in and out of your chest. You understood something that no doctor could have quite put into words. Not to be managed, not to be hidden, not to be negotiated around, but to be here, present and capable and alive in the moments that actually matter. And if you are sitting in your chair right now, talking yourself out of the walk, talking yourself into the closer parking spot, accepting a world that is quietly getting smaller, I want you to hear me. Your body has not given up on you. It is simply waiting for you to stop giving up on it. 10 breaths in the morning, 10 minutes on the sidewalk, and the decision to sit tall. That is where it begins, and that is enough. The stairs will wait, and one day soon, they will not even be worth mentioning.